Why, hello YouTube. This is Baylor Mage again, and in light of the new event of PoE 1 that's coming out, we are updating / transferring our builds to the new Ascendancies, mostly the ones people are asking for. Before we get into anything, I have no idea what I'm going to play or what I'm going to league start at all. There are way too many options. I change my mind 6 times a day. So who knows what I'll start. But one of the ones we're asked a lot about is Poison SRS. Can I still do it? What Ascendancy should I do it on? So we converted everything over. So the new Poison SRS for this league will be done on the Arakaali's Ascendancy. Before we get started into the path of building, we need to know a few things. One, it's almost exactly the same as the Necromancer. In terms of damage, in terms of tankiness, in terms of playstyle, everything else. Everything is almost exactly the same as the Necromancer. The only thing that's a little bit worse is that my minions have a little bit less life. So that means our Animate Guardian and our Spectres are in a little bit more risk. So we may have to compensate for that a little. We've got plans for it. But let's jump into the path building. So here's the path of building. You may notice if you've played it before, it's pretty much the same. There's some slight differences because we're not quite as tanky. We've added one endurance charge. We don't necessarily need Enduring Composer. You could also just anoint the node down here. That's also a relatively cheap anoint. But then you don't get your third Spectre, although a lot of people only use 2 Spectres anyway, so that's sort of up to you. But everything ended up pretty much just as good. We do have our Ascendancy here in the custom config. So that's all right there. Level 15 Envy, which is the bad one. We will be taking that as our first Ascendancy because it's incredibly strong while leveling. Incredibly strong. And we will use that Envy all the way up until we put on our sword and get the real Envy. And then this line will work on that anyway. So we'll just be able to use the level 25 Envy with Generosity in it, which has way more, for free. So we keep that Ascendancy regardless. The next one we actually take while leveling will be the Skin Crawlers. Minions have 50% chance to poison, and they'll do the Wither. Honestly, you could level as Poison SRS from normal lab, getting Envy on and just putting chance to poison in your links. Take this one second, it'll be a huge damage spike because you get another 50% chance to poison. And then you will also get the Wither. So that's fantastic. Then our third Ascendancy will be the free aspect of the Spider level 30. And then our fourth Ascendancy will be Silk Dancer, which is the you deal more damage to them and they have less resistance, which is great. That's all fantastic. However, we don't get to use the Arakaali Spider Ascendancy in this one, which is the thing that I was hoping for the most. It's the one I really, really enjoyed the idea of. It just doesn't fit. We have no reliable way to proc it, and it's not worth giving up any of our Ascendancies for. So, I personally am going to suggest against playing Poison SRS unless it's something you're just really excited to do. If you really want to play the build, we've provided the path of building. We know how to run it. We know it'll still be good. We know it'll still perform the things that it's meant to perform on. However, there's nothing new or interesting about it. So if you've played it before, it's going to be the same thing, but you're going to get shadow voice lines, which arguably are better, but nothing really changed. We're still running our Mind Over Matter setup. We're still running the Aegis Aurora to recover our energy shield. We still have the same options as before where we can run the Surrender and just give up Mind Over Matter and then change some passives around, grab a little bit of extra life and still keep relatively tanky. It just ends up with having less of a max hit. But then you can't have any mana problems. That is one complaint you get quite often, is people running Aegis Aurora find themselves running into degens and then running out of mana and not being able to cast, and then that causing problems. So if you want to go the other way, you can use the Surrender, or you can use a life gain on block crafted shield. That's fine. I personally prefer the Aegis Aurora. Any of these ways will work. Everything else has stayed exactly the same as it was before. All our utility minions are the same. We're still running an Arcanist brand for our Despair and Flesh Offering. I am still running the exact same links. We've messed with Spectres here. I was introduced today to the Perfect Giant Turtle, who I haven't run before because I keep thinking about his determination aura and him being away from me all the time. But it turns out he also has a 5% physical damage reduction buff in there, and that's like pretty good and pretty important and always on you even when he's out of range. That's just a buff you get for having him. So even if I do leave him behind, I'm still getting that PDR, and I don't really need his determination aura because I'm running one myself anyway. So it's pretty good defensively, but you don't have to. There are a lot of Spectres you can pick from. Honestly, we've just put 3 Spectres in the path of building. There are like 8 different options. I pick the 3 you like the most. It's not going to matter. They're all going to work. We've messed around auras a little bit because we ended up giving up Tempest Shield in order to run Purity to get completely immune to all ailments. We're still running Glancing Blow, which is fantastic. Not much else has changed. The only downside here is what I didn't do was put in all the work on giving you leveling trees. If you've ran this build before, the leveling trees will be basically the same, just a little bit behind, because you need to beeline over here and grab that. If you want to level as minions, you're going to grab that, and then by that point, by the time you've got just those 2 and the Envy from the first Ascendancy, you'll be able to do Poison SRS the whole way. You will have no problem at all. That Envy is going to be crazy. I would personally suggest some sort of spells to level. I would just come through the elemental here, grab that elemental, and probably grab this cast speed right here because it's pretty strong, and then start filling out the rest of the tree. And I would change in SRS after first lab when I have at least this wheel and the level 15 Envy. So yeah, that is the entire build update. I did consider spending a bunch of time making a bunch of leveling trees, but then I decided it's only a 1-month event and I just have too many things to do, and so I didn't do that. Yeah, that's the whole build. It works great. We've played it 100 times before. We've got the written build guide for it and everything on the Necromancer. It's really just Arakaali is the same but slightly further away. We waste a few skill points getting into the tree, and then that's it. It's the same. So good luck anybody who wanted to play it. Absolutely. We'll be working on the Holy Relic one next, so I will see everybody next time. Bye bye.